In a world of never-ending stress, a bed and breakfast should provide romance and relaxation. But the units being built in this B&B are neither romantic nor relaxing. In fact, in a word, they're just, bad.
Don't get me wrong. The builders responsible for these spaces are doing the best they can. It's just that their best is a cut below the rest.
I'll get the... Where's my actual big silver wobbly?
This is Canada's worst handyman.
6 months ago, we started looking for candidates for this country's most humiliating building title.
I've nominated my husband, Eddie, for Canada's Worst Handyman.
You introduced us to hundreds of useless amateur renovators.
I'm not useless.
But when we sifted through the dregs of the talent pool, these 5 people settled to the bottom. There's Casey, a police officer from Abbotsford. Tex, a seasonal worker from Nova Scotia. Charmaine, a florist from Thunder Bay. Des, a registered hypnotherapist from Woodstock, Ontario. And Joe, the Bullet Barbero from Barrie, Ontario. These 5 people were all turned over to us by the concerned women in their lives.
He's just the worst handyman. Just trust me.
For more than a week, the nominees have been inside this 100-year-old home in Hamilton, transforming the ground floor into a boutique bed and breakfast.
You sucker, son of a...
In just 6 more days, the first overnight guests will be arriving.
Are they blind?
Upstairs in the house, there is one room that's coming along nicely. It's being created
They're beautiful.
by our head designer, Joe Alcorn, and our head builder, Jeff Woodmansey.
Let's move on to the next stage. We'll get the MDF ripped, then we'll get this assembled.
Jeff and Joe have all of the same tools and materials that are given to the bad handyman.
Good and strong.
When the experts finish every challenge correctly,
Perfect.
they help me decide who is the worst handyman.
What does Tex have in his room? 0. And he's already told us, flat out, I'm not putting a shower in.
Today, Joe is designing a table for their room.
So we're gonna build our table to go over top of our bed so people can eat in bed.
Jeff starts building the table by constructing a ladder frame out of 2x3 lumber.
So this is our ladder frame, and it will be the understructure.
When the frame is covered with adhesive, Jeff attaches the covering pieces.
So how come you put the adhesive on it? It's strong enough to hold the wood itself?
Yeah, this is doing all the work.
Once the panels are in place, Jeff smooths out all the rough gaps with wood filler.
And then we'll add wheels to the bottom, paint it white, and we're done.
Serve breakfast up.
A bed and breakfast room is useless if you can't have breakfast in the room. So the next challenge for Canada's worst handyman is to create a dining table that fits smartly into their tight space.
I'm thinking high-ish.
Yeah.
Put a 16? Put a 16? Plate.
But if you're sitting down, do you
18.
want, yeah, do 18.
Charmaine wants to make her table
I'm a friggin' genius.
out of a scattered mix of materials.
I would like to do it with the ceramic tile top because I really want a mosaic.
Excellent.
Charmaine's unstable table plan involves attaching a picture frame to a stack of buckets.
Like, say 3 buckets. How's that for ingenuity?
Out of all the nominees, it's Joe who comes up with the best plan.
Where's the backspacer?
Using the bad handyman's most important tool,
How do you backspace?
Joe learns about a kind of common steel bracket that secures table legs to table tops. And we happen to have some.
Is that the right way? How do you put these on?
Joe takes his time and learns he has to
Put them into the board first, according to the computer.
measure and mark where the leg brackets should go. I show Joe how professionals use their speed squares
Cool.
to measure and mark simultaneously.
So that's your fast way to do it, okay?
Nice.
When Joe tries it, though,
Well, I don't know how good that is, but
it's less than professional.
how not to use a speed square.
Marking a line this way is what Casey wants to do with his speed square.
Flip it, flip it. All right.
But even with the help of his wife, Marnie, Casey is baffled by the triangle.
It's killing you?
To put a curve on one edge of Tex's table, Tara, his wife, uses an ancient marking method.
Standing.
At home, Tex doesn't have power tools.
How's that?
Perfect.
So, here in rehab,
This is the first time I ever used one of these.
Tex is eager to test everything we've got. Now he's trying to router a soft edge onto his table, but Tex's bit is set too low, leaving this ugly ridge.
Best I can do.
It's better than what Dez is doing.
So, where's it going with that thought?
I don't know.
A standard table is 30 inches high. Desmond's wife, Jenny, is helping him make one 48 inches high.
That's kind of high.
Oh my God, it's totally high.
That's really high.
Charmaine's table is still on the floor.
It's in.
There.
Okay.
Little bugger. Now,
Let's start tiling.
Before Tina can tile, her mother wants to fire 63 brad nails through her frame to hold the plywood in place. And I do mean through the frame.
What's wrong? The nails?
come and see.
So what will we have to do to,
There's only one thing Charmaine can do.
are you ripping them right out?
Yep.
This is going to be a fight to the finish. Tex has designed a one-legged folding table.
It's a lot quicker. I don't have time.
Okay.
But ironically, his hinged leg is too short to reach the floor
See the legs not touching the floor.
and too long to fold up.
It's just
To solve this mind-bending conundrum, Tex devises a plan far too confusing to explain.
You don't even try to understand, okay?
First, he hinges his table top to the wall.
Just wait a second. Give me a screwdriver.
Jesus.
Screwdriver.
Thank you.
Then he gets the leg in place. Then, Tex performs a surprise amputation, followed by an experimental joint implant. It's a novel idea that seems to have lost the plot.
That's terrible.
What is terrible?
Table is terrible.
No, it ain't.
Yes, it is.
Maybe in your opinion it is.
It is.
That's good enough.
Instead of making legs, Casey wants to dismantle the table in the lounge.
I'll go for it. Decided to take the pedestal legs from the green room.
Corner cutting in rehab is a childish way to act.
You screwed and drilled and cut all by yourself. I'm gonna go get the stain.
Thanks, hon. Safety first.
While Casey plays dress up,
You can never, never have too much safety.
his wife Marnie works.
Just stain the damn thing.
The instructions say this stain is supposed to be applied thickly, then wiped off almost immediately, so it doesn't have a chance to dry.
So I read the instructions quite thoroughly.
After 16 minutes, the top of Casey's table is drying in streaks. By the time Marnie notices, it's too late.
After no more than 3 minutes, while stain is still wet, remove excess with a lint-free cloth.
If Casey made a 3-minute egg, he'd probably take an hour.
I'm going to beg you again, please read the directions and then do what they say. Don't interpret them artistically. Follow them.
Fair enough.
Casey's got a good table, but he pretty well stole it from the green room.
In the room he calls No Mercy, Joe
Okay. Just a little.
is drilling pilot holes that shouldn't poke all the way through the tabletop.
Oh, yeah, we'll fix it.
Yeah?
I'm just thinking on maybe putting a trim.
Why? Do you see trim on tables?
No, what's the difference?
Eventually, Joe plans a cover-up.
Because we want it overhanging.
And the holes disappear. Joe's table is solid. You know what I mean?
From the worst to the best, man. No mercy. Mine was the best, man. Get the computer. We would have been like Tex, Terry Neves. Building igloos out of sticks.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Tex has moved on to plan B.
Jesus. I don't have the patience for this at all today.
So plan B worked.
Floppy table? Oh.
Tex's table is a flop.
Making a table worth it?
A1. If I need a table, by any chance mine's broke, I'll build a new one.
Charmaine's plan to make a mosaic tabletop
Well, we'll try it. If it works, it works.
is finally underway.
There you go. Okay, I need some over here, too.
But after almost 2 hours of work,
When I'm tiling.
Whenever she's tiling.
this table is going nowhere fast.
So this is a pass or fail?
This is a work in progress.
Charmaine's project will be in progress forever.
My time management skills totally suck at this point.
Desmond's table ruins the effect of his wallpaper,
I know we're gonna get killed for blocking our feature wall.
Well, I'm sure.
and his paint job is inexplicably beige.
We're done.
Des staples up some grass skirting, but his finished table should get raked up for compost.
I think my table is turning out excellent.
When we return, the nominees make headboards.
Hang on, man. Okay, then make it like I don't care.
Making a bed from scratch is something that would cause even a good handyman to lose a little sleep. However, making a dreamy headboard, well, that's a project a bad builder can get a handle on. You know, if they wanted, they could even put a handle on it. For, I don't know, for carrying. Yeah.
To make sure the nominees for Canada's Worst Handyman are able to do this job correctly,
We are gonna learn how to make a headboard.
they're getting schooled by our expert designer, Joe.
So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna measure out the size of the headboard we want, and we're gonna cut out the wood.
Then, a piece of foam must be cut the exact same size.
And we're gonna trace out and cut out our foam.
To attach the foam to the wood,
You're going to use your adhesive. Then you're gonna use the batten here to soften your edges and wrap it around the entire thing. You're then gonna take your fabric and you're gonna wrap it around that.
when the fabric is in place, drill holes in the back of the headboard wherever the buttons will go. Then, insert
This little metal wand through it. So this is gonna come straight through.
When the needle is through everything, it gets hooked to the back of a button.
We're gonna attach this and pull it through.
The pulled string tightens the fabric, then gets secured in place.
And And then your finished product should look like that.
As soon as he gets to his room, Casey's confused.
Everything goes under, staple it at the back somehow. It's way too big for that foam.
Well, yeah. It's not like you fold it over.
Oh, do you?
Soften the edges.
Oh, do you?
I don't know. That's what I would do, but I wasn't in the class, babe.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wrap this around just the foam part.
No.
What happens is I have to drill a hole. Get that part though.
You have to drill a hole through the back of the thing?
No, that can't be right.
No, that can't be right. So I'll go double check.
While Casey stands around waiting for his wife to learn everything he was just taught, Joe the Bullet's memory is also failing him.
She just had it all folded down, man.
Does she have things cut
No,
off of it?
no, she didn't.
And you don't want any of it cut off?
No, she didn't cut anything of it off. So then when you put the cushion on, it looks nice and fluffy and stuff, right? That's what she did. None of it cut off.
There's no cutting, you're just...
Yeah, that's what she did. You got it.
When I remind Mr. Bullet the foam should be cut flush with the headboard,
I left flush.
Joe begins hacking and slashing his work.
How many buttons do you want to put on?
She said buttons were optional.
If you get right down to it, everything at the rehab center is optional.
I do believe they said to us when we first got here, it's your room, make it your own, and do what you want,
So Tex isn't making a foam headboard.
I know I'm probably gonna get for not doing what she said, but I want to do it my way.
Dez is also not using foam on his surfboard headboard.
What do you expect?
And Charmaine wants her headboard to look like a music chart.
Cut out the notes, screw them on, spray paint them, we're done.
During this challenge, the bad handyman can get our expert Jeff to cut their lumber.
Oh, could we? It would save you time. Nah, it's probably not a good thing to do.
Having lumber professionally sliced is something that can be done at most large hardware stores for $1 a cut.
Ooh, not quite. Damn it. Now, why does that look longer for some reason?
For bad handymen, that $1 is definitely worth it.
Now, you gotta cut that. How? Okay, that is not all the way touching the table. Set the depth of my blade.
Give her. Is your blade dull?
No, it's nothing to do with the blade, hon.
While Dez comes up with plan B,
It's supposed to stab in or something.
Casey is trying to make a fabric button. This satisfying process should take about 15 seconds.
Oh, yeah. No brainer.
But Casey hasn't read the instructions.
Still a little bit too much material, I think.
And he's trying to assemble the kit incorrectly. For a long time. A ridiculously long time.
I fought with that damn thing for half an hour because I had it upside down. My goodness.
I think it's nice that you want to do things yourself.
I'm trying to do my own design thing.
Tex starts his own design thing by rounding the corners off a piece of plywood.
I need a rotor.
Then, Tex routers the entire perimeter of his headboard. Then he changes the bit.
Yep, dandy.
This V-notch bit cuts a smooth groove, then blows the sawdust in Tex's face.
Not bad.
You should have had the face mask on.
Tell me another story I already know.
When Tex gets his stain mixed up,
great idea,
and smeared all over his headboard, he uses sisal rope to fill the gaps he's routed out.
Didn't listen to Joe, the designer, because I wanted to try to be a designer myself, and I think it's working out pretty good.
Tex,
I'm busy.
Nailing his rope in place is slow. So, Tex grabs the brad nailer and swiftly fastens his headboard to his bench.
Oh, of course we did.
Oh, we did?
Yep.
Oh.
Joe's poofy headboard has no buttons.
Well, Tex doesn't have any buttons on his, so I'm not putting any buttons on mine. No.
Pass or fail, Joe?
Oh, I said I passed.
Without buttons, Joe's fabric will wilt.
I said I was going to start reading instructions and stuff. I didn't follow them the greatest, but...
Flip it over. Okay.
Casey's also not following instructions. He's anchoring the button to the back of the squishy foam, which is
Completely backwards from what you learned in class.
Yeah, I skipped one important step, which is the one I'm doing now.
This is harder than it looks.
Marnie can't give the fabric a full stretch because it's already buttoned to the foam.
Hey!
Casey's one button isn't anchored to the wood.
I'd actually talked myself out of drilling through the wood at the beginning, thinking it was too difficult.
Too difficult?
The off-kilter surfboard being shaped in Desmond's room is getting a shark bite.
We had to take the emphasis off how it was not symmetrical.
Notice, oh, it's a little kind of uneven. So I said, hey, a shark bit it. Cut out some teeth.
When his beige paint eventually dries, Desmond's hard headboard stands in defiance of our expert designer, Joe.
Didn't pat it because, you know, I'm going against Joe.
Tex is also pitting himself against our designer.
She's gonna freak when she sees this, man.
Tex is gonna freak when he realizes he's mounting his headboard too close to the plug for his light.
This worth it? For sure. This headboard, pass or fail?
I think it's a pass.
Unplug your light for me.
Yeah, well, we just won't have to unplug the light.
Tex has failed to see the light.
You're not gonna want to unplug your light anyway, I don't think.
Charmaine's musical chart is taking longer than she anticipated.
Oh, I'm not gonna get it done!
As usual, Charmaine doesn't finish.
Totally covered in sawdust. Damn it.
After the break, Charmaine starts the group challenge
I'm going to bring in the girls on this one.
by firing all the men.
Out you get. Bring in the girly girls.
Every episode, Canada's worst handymen come together to work as a team.
Ow! Hey, easy.
Sorry.
Just mark you in the head, brother.
In just 20 hours of labor, they've managed to transform the old stinky bathroom into a potentially beautiful kitchen.
Okay, how long for these cuts? Because this can still be worked.
Last episode, when Charmaine was named the most improved handyman here, she was disappointed because she does not want the responsibility of the golden hard hat. Wearing it today puts Charmaine in charge of the men. On Charmaine's task list for today are two things: installing a backsplash above the counter and grouting the tiles that got laid last episode. The nominators settle in to watch the show as Charmaine takes control.
Run the show, boss.
I'm gonna change things up a little bit today. I love you dearly, but I'm going to bring in the girls on this one.
The women who nominated Canada's worst handymen are ready for this switcheroo, but the handymen are blindsided.
I'm the foreman, I control things. Out you get. Bring in the girly girls.
The men are especially shocked when the foreman orders them to
go in my room and put all the tools on my table and sweep the floor up.
Wow, I didn't see that coming in a million years.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
That's gutsy. That's great.
You are a hardcore foreman.
Come on, girls!
All right.
I needed some estrogen, girls. I needed some estrogen.
I think they'll probably do a better job than us, quite honestly.
No.
Yeah, no, they'll do a good job. I've seen Marnie Grout. She knows what she's doing.
Charmaine starts by organizing a meeting.
Let's get something done. We'll sit down, we'll plan it, and we'll get it done.
Sounds good.
Oh, anybody done grouting before?
No, but I'd love to learn.
Charmaine's going to have to learn how to attach the backsplash to the wall.
I'll read up on it first, and then the caulking's going to be in between where the countertop and the wall meet up.
But they're gonna kick our butt. They're gonna finish that off lickety-split and...
No, they won't.
Oh yeah, they're gonna show us up, no problem.
No, they won't. Come on now, they're women.
Tex finally wanders in late.
Hey, Tex, you missed it all, buddy. Excuse me, Miss Foreman. What's the scoop?
I kind of kicked you guys out.
What would you like me to
Find
do?
some fabric, sew some placemats for the table.
What?
Placemats for now.
Following this order makes Tex moody.
I just forgot to take my estrogen pills today, I guess.
I thought she'd do a much better job at being boss than this. That's just my opinion.
Actually, Charmaine is doing the best job of any boss so far.
For grouting,
Yes.
you're gonna mix the grout. I'm
Yep.
gonna read how long it sets.
Okay.
It's very easy to do.
To do grouting,
Oh, you're awesome.
I'm on the ball.
You are awesome.
mix the instructed amounts of grout powder and water.
Don't inhale it.
Then use a spongy tool called a float to force the wet grout deep into the gaps between the tiles.
That's some dark grout, eh?
It's extremely dark. Wow.
When the grout is in, you've got about 20 minutes to remove the excess with a damp sponge.
That looks so awesome.
And that's all there is to grouting.
They know what they're doing, we don't.
This is bullshit, though, really.
Hey, don't throw out my sticks.
Sticks, okay.
As foreman, you're gonna get them to do all of your dirty work, basically.
What's going on here? When she sent me on a sewing machine, and I wasn't impressed.
Tex is already thinking about revenge.
Come on, boss, there ain't gonna be no Charmaine allowed. I'm gonna make her scrub the toilets. You can mark my words on that.
Joe is also contemplating retribution.
If I win Best Handyman tomorrow, then she's gonna be cooking and cleaning.
And Casey is fuming in his own way.
The gel smells great.
Thank you.
To get the backsplash the bad handyman ordered onto the wall, Tina simply needs to read the instructions, then follow them.
They're exactly the right
You
size.
girls are awesome.
Before gluing, Tina makes sure the tiles fit perfectly in place.
Let's get them up. Okay.
The next step is rimming the tiles with double-sided tape and applying a healthy bead of adhesive.
We've got Rita on adhesive duty.
Yep.
We've got Tara on double tape duty, and now we're all gonna take a piece and we're gonna flip it up.
Fantastic.
Correctly grouting the counter and completely installing the backsplash
We got it, we got it, we got it.
You girls are freaking awesome.
takes Charmaine and her team a total of just 65 minutes. This has been the most productive challenge in the rehab center's history.
I was very proud that we got it done. And you know what? I never once doubted that we wouldn't get it done, ever.
When we come back, Charmaine has to control the men.
Tex, can I count on you for the plumbing?
Yes, sir.
Now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Way back on day 5 at the Handyman Rehabilitation Center, Tex began plumbing for the kitchen sink.
7 hours, 3 feet of pummeling.
But for some strange reason, Tex hacksawed off the drain pipe, then threw it away. The very next day, he drywalled completely over the drain, hiding it forever.
The next group challenge for Canada's Worst Handyman is to install their sink and hook up a faucet. Hopefully, somewhere along the way, they'll also remember to hook up their drain.
In today's group challenge, Charmaine has to work with the men.
Tex, can I count on you for the plumbing?
Yes, sir.
Now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
On top of getting the sink flowing,
We're gonna get the cupboards up, we're gonna get the doors up.
Tex is already complaining.
Sick of doing the same thing over and over again.
The duo of Des and Casey are being outwitted by hinges.
That seems awfully difficult.
And Joe is standing around like a deer on Valium caught in headlights.
What are you doing?
Gonna see if this door fits into the hole.
There's only 2 different doors in 2 different cupboards.
Yeah, I know, man, but none of them fit.
None of them fit? None of them fit.
In the hands of Joe the Bullet Barbero,
these all the same hinges?
Nothing ever fits.
Already before we even start. Already before we start. I think we're before we even start. I don't even want to cut a pipe.
Why?
Because I want to show you something. See this here? There's no holes for those faucets.
The faucets the team ordered need to pass through the tile countertop.
I don't have the slightest clue how we're going to do this.
We realized your problem. We bought you a...
That goes through the tile.
It's designed for cutting tile.
Awesome.
It's a standard hardware store purchase that costs $20.
It's a nice tool.
He shoots, he scores.
Actually, Tex hit the post. His holes are too close together.
Now look.
How you make
So,
it out there, Tom?
as you can see, that's why I'm here.
Plumbing with a hammer. Welcome to Canada's worst handyman.
To mount the final 2 cupboards, the team needs to hang a little bit more of the tracking, which means they have to cut it.
That is a cutoff blade on a grinder. Be careful.
So I'm just going...
Toy. Yeah.
Don't talk to me like you're an expert.
I'm not an expert, but I was playing with it yesterday and almost killed myself with it, so just be
Then why are
easy
you giving
with
it to me?
What? Because I want you to give it a try.
Don't like sparks.
Give me the thing.
Can this not be done with the hacksaw?
Did someone say hacksaw? Since arriving at rehab, Joe has often tried to avoid work, but if the task involves a hacksaw, Joe is pumped.
It's going dull, man.
Wow, I wonder why.
Joe has hacksawed so much, his blade is ruined.
Why doesn't it pull down the one way?
With a new hacksaw at his disposal, Joe keeps on stroking. While Casey does strange things with the cabinet doors. And Des, well, you can see how Des is contributing. Only Tex seems to have any fire in his eyes.
Ow! That's hot.
And this bed and breakfast opens in 5 more days.
And then whatever bolt goes in that.
Tex believes he has the plumbing figured out.
The water's coming on. This is the big test for Tex.
Hey now!
Hey now, I'm a rock star.
When the sink finally goes in, I'm compelled to mention the obviously absent drain.
The drain gets attached to here and here, right? Yeah. And then where does it go?
Wherever you hook it onto.
Hook it onto the old drain.
Wherever that may be. It's better to have water in your house before you have a drain. Even if I have to throw the bucket out, at least I got running water.
We're done, guys.
So far, the materials in this kitchen have cost just under $7,000.
Building a kitchen, is it worth it?
Yes, I believe it's worth it.
When I get home, I am going to do it.
No, I wouldn't do it.
After the break, the banisters get screwed up.
Whoa, Tina. If your banister does something like that, it might be time for a new one. The next challenge for Canada's worst handyman will be to replace all of the banisters in this stairwell. And there's a twist. And the twist is you won't be working with your normal partner. So, for example, Joe, you will be with Tina.
Oh, my.
Tex, you're going to be with Jenny. Casey, you're with Tara.
Charmaine is with Rita. And Des is with Marnie.
Yes. My wood's on there first.
When the handymen claim their spots...
Look, wood is touching. Wood is touching. Touching wood.
They begin removing the old screws.
Man, look at these screws, man.
To do this job, simply remove the old hardware and install the new stuff exactly where the old stuff was. With Desmond being helped out by Marnie,
Oh, there we go.
Casey has no one to think for him.
What I try and get Marnie to do is be the brains behind every project I do. Is there an easy way, or do you just rip them out? If you have any, Tara, if you have any ideas in terms of how more than willing to.
How to get that out?
Yeah, I just yank on it, I'd say.
Be careful, because I pinched my fingers by accident. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna pull those suckers out of there. I'm gonna hack these suckers out of here.
Oh, come on, guys.
Hey, Tara! That was all. She's just...
I broke it right off. She did. Roar!
Before installing the new banister, Tex decides to remove the filler strip that's stapled to the bottom.
I noticed it's loose. It's not supposed to go there. So I went like this.
And that's what's supposed to happen.
This groove is the exact same width as fancy spindles. If you're using spindles, the filler strip goes back in between each one to lock them in place and to hide the groove.
So that comes out, eh?
No, it doesn't.
Liar.
Oh, there we go, one end.
I was trying to think of how this goes.
After just 17 minutes, Tex has his filler-free banister correctly mounted.
Okay, stress test. Tex is done.
And so is Des.
Done.
At least 2 of our banisters will support human weight.
Replacing a banister, worth doing yourself?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I'll even fix Joe's for him if you want.
Good enough, man.
Casey is screwing his hardware into the flimsy filler strip instead of into the solid banister.
We'll go with this. Okay. It'll probably be a fail.
I'd say Charmaine will also probably fail.
I'm gonna throw something real soon.
And needless to say,
Whoa, Tina.
Joe the Bullet Barbaro
You're doing this right, are you, Joe?
Oh, yeah.
has a rail that's more like a death trap.
Don't worry about these other 2. We're not putting them on. Too strong enough.
Oh my. No, put this one on, hon, please.
No, it's strong enough.
No, put this one on, I beg you. Put it on.
Joe, Charmaine, and Casey all fail this challenge. Badly. After the break, final inspections get emotional.
Yeah, okay, I gotta go. I could feel I was getting upset. I had the quivering jaw going to the level. I'm like, oh, I'm getting so upset I could cry.
We're about to name Canada's worst handyman for this episode.
And that's Joe.
The worst this episode, I'd have to say...
There is no hope for Joe.
But I'm gonna have to vote Joe again for the worst.
The worst handyman here is Joe.
It looks like me again.
The final inspections start with Des.
So, this episode, we're talking table, we're talking headboard, we're talking banister, and we're talking group challenge.
Designer Joe starts the talking.
The table is too high. Also, I don't understand the grass.
I don't understand the positioning.
You've got this cool thing, and this is in its way.
And Jeff doesn't understand the headboard.
This thing, man, just look at the edges. This is rough. It's gonna catch fabric, and it's just not gonna look as good as it could have.
I just feel like it's almost a home ec kind of style headboard right now.
Desmond seems emotionally affected by this criticism.
We beating up on you, or is this
Yeah,
fair?
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is this not fair?
Oh, fine. Yeah, fine and dandy, but yeah, I'm done. It's fine.
Desmond should brace himself because Jeff's job is to explain Dez's weaknesses.
There's no 45s in it. There's nothing to oppose this action.
Desmond wants to learn,
But I don't appreciate some of the comments. You try your best and you get put down. Yeah, okay, I gotta go. I could feel I was getting upset. I had the quivery jaw going to the level. I'm like, oh, I'm getting so upset I could cry. Yes, you can criticize. That's what we expect. But also a little bit of hope in there would be nice. Unreal.
Joe the Bullet Barbero isn't going to cry just because his table's full of holes.
No, I know. I messed that up, man. We realized that after.
He messed up his foam worse.
Look at this.
You already had 2 nice straight edges.
Yeah, I realized that, but it was already glued on.
On the banister challenge, Joe didn't get around to finishing.
Out of the 4 brackets, 2 were attached, and out of the 2 that are attached, only had 1 screw in the wall.
Even with all these disasters,
I'm definitely improved probably 20 times.
Tex is also improving.
I like it.
He found time to fix his folding table.
This is by far the best table that we've seen.
Cool.
And even though his headboard is trapping his plug, it definitely displays Tex's developing knowledge of tools. For Charmaine, this episode included
Moments of brilliance, moments of failure.
Charmaine's picture frame mosaic table falls into the failure category.
It isn't a good idea.
It also isn't solid.
And you hear that cracking? And it's razor sharp. Look, razor sharp.
Charmaine's headboard, not so sharp.
It's crafty. I'm not a big fan of it.
In Casey's room, the appropriated table legs stand proud.
You impressed with this effort, Jeff?
No, I mean, it's pretty lame. Stealing a set of legs, cutting a rectangle and screwing them together doesn't impress me much.
I stained it the color I wanted it.
You didn't even follow the instructions correctly.
Same story on the headboard.
Again, you didn't follow instructions.
Casey seems attentive in lessons, but he never does what he's taught.
What I've been doing is I've been taking notes, but not referring back to them.
When it's time to name the worst,
Worst is Des.
Jeff isn't sympathetic to Dez's emotional state.
Well, he walked out on us, right? I mean, it's insulting for us. I know we're here to help him.
I'm going to say I think Casey's the worst. So you got a table project that he screwed up because he didn't read the directions. Then he jumped to the headboard. He screwed that up because he didn't follow the class. And then we gave him the banister. He didn't remove that little extra piece. To me, the worst.
Yeah, I think Des is definitely the worst. His table was wobbly.
And his surfboard headboard should be flushed out to sea.
The way he responded to a little bit of criticism today was he stormed out of the room. And that's childish.
If you want childish, I think Casey's refusal to follow instructions is worse.
I'm not budging on Des.
Our standoff means this episode's worst handyman will be chosen by Joe. As always, we start the final meeting by naming this episode's most improved handyman.
And that person is Tex.
Yay, Tex.
Oh, thank you, sir.
This means Tex will be the foreman of the next group challenge.
And now it's time to name the worst handyman for this episode. And Des?
This week's worst is Casey.
Take your picture out of there, please, and hang your head in shame.
It's hard to believe this non-direction following cop is employed on the Abbotsford Force as the communications officer.
You're trying too, aren't you?
Oh, I'm trying. Oh, yeah. I'm putting everything I got into it, 100%.
I know, that's what worries me.
It's been a long day for Casey, but
we got homework for you. Come this way.
For Casey's lesson, I want him to read all the directions he hasn't followed since getting to handyman rehab.
Do not touch bulb with fingers during installation. If so...
Did you touch the bulb with your fingers?
Probably, putting it in, yeah. Clean surfaces to be bonded to remove oil, wax, dirt, etc.
Did you do that?
There may have been some dirt on it. Stir well before and during use.
Did you do that?
I didn't stir it at all. then remove excess stain with a clean cloth. I didn't do that. I didn't do that. I did not do that, no. I didn't read this instruction at all.
On the next and second last episode of Canada's Worst Handyman, the candidates get down to the dirt, dealing with floor coverings.
Jen, we did this backwards.
They also install security hardware, and in the group challenge, the communal kitchen gets finished.
Done.
Sort of.
Whoa, 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 you've been in the sink.
I just forgot to take my estrogen pills today, I guess.